All right. So, before I head in and start doing stuff on the stupid ass office computer, modern BMX. This is a tough subject for me because of the fact that basically I've probably like feathered on it a little bit, but it does bother me a bit. But outside of the pandemic going on right now and production of parts being basically scarce but none, and finding the particular part that you want in the particular color you need besides black, it's kind of rare. I mean, like, if you do want to actually build a black frame and actually have, a consistent, accent, take ice blue. Ice blue is beautiful. Um, on some colors of main frames, that actually probably look really, really good. Um, Especially if you like, I don't know, like accented a blue bike with it. I mean, that'd be what I'd do. I don't know if I'd do it to a white bike, but that ice blue, man. Whew. I um I went on a mission a couple days ago to actually try and track down obscure colors and find a current color scheme to try and go with to build another bike. Yes, I got another one in the works, but I'm not going to really go into details about it. But uh, I'll call it the Seattle bike because I don't plan on being in Idaho for too much longer. Probably another year at the most. Um, Long-term goals are basically to go way more West Coast. Um, I don't know if I want to go down to Oregon, but I think Washington's going to probably be the spot, and I'm probably going to move really close to Seattle. Um, it's got a lot of options, and if I don't get rid of the bottle rocket, and if I do, I'd probably get another mountain bike. I mean, you from Seattle, if you're living close to a good highway grid, um, you have massive riding options. I mean, massive. You can go to Whistler. There's like a shit ton of uh, there's a shit ton of freaking like public access up in Canada on that side of the country for all sorts of cool riding. Um, and all the way down into Oregon. Like Oregon's got some really good riding too. Um, and I think Oregon, yeah, they actually have a couple indoors as well. But BMX wise, there is a lot of options. I want to say that outside of California and central East Coast, um, most of West Oregon and Western Washington, probably the most prime riding area for non-street. Like we're talking, private park or public park bullshit. But I'm a big fan of the not riding on concrete. Um, well, I mean the base can be concrete, but I'd much rather deal with wooden ramps. Um, so back to the story. So I was online and I had the Apple running right next to the Windows computer. They're both on the same desk, and I was literally power searching. I had like probably 7 companies up at once and I was trying to roll the dice on the easiest way to acquire one particular accent color. And look, I am not a big fan of, colorful bikes. I'm a big fan of fucking rusty bikes with some halfway decent black accented aluminum. Um, I mean, that's the generation that I come from. Basically, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, the rust bike was the shit. They're like, what? Why are you washing your bike with water? Yo, get out the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi-Cola and put that in a spray bottle. Wash it the right way. And that's what we did. I mean, like, chromoly, 100% chromoly bike with American tigs, because Japanese tigs like have garbage in them, unbeknownst to a lot of people. So basically, if the frame was made in not Japan, but China, I mean that I correct myself. Japan welds are actually pretty good. Chinese welds are junk. They get the cheapest rod they can possibly use. So I I just like the way that a rust bucket bike build actually looks. There's a couple of riders till to this day that actually will ride specifically just rust bikes, and yeah, that's cool. Um, but I they're actually a lot more maintenance prone than a lot of other bikes, because yes, you want them rusty, but you gotta constantly, like, dry mop them and use the proper solvents on them that'll actually get rid of the the agents that would probably degenerate the chromoly faster than you actually want. Because remember, you're not running clear, and it's not like a rust bike. You're gonna get it to a certain point and go, "That's it," and then clear coat it. No, it's fucking never painted. That's the deal. You can't paint clear. You can't put clear on rust, or you can't put clear on patinaed metal. It doesn't work. You'll have a lot of it'll just look like shit. It'll look like you painted the fucking clear coat on. It'll just look like garbage. Um, we ain't talking raw. We're talking like basically broken raw. Like, it's gonna be like brown, and it's gonna be like fucking just. It just looks like it's been left outside and not cared about. Um, but that's the reason why I've never liked colored bikes. I mean, granted, I rode back in the 80s, and man, them neon colored bikes with white trim, or a neon bike with different colored neon gear on it, that was the shit to have. I mean, take my Pro Freestyle Tour. I mean, that it was a beautiful bike. Um, but yeah. So here I'm sitting at the computer, and I got like basically multiple searches going on, and multiple companies that basically are parts distributors. And I always assumed this, but it didn't make it clear until I actually was actually searching. And I had everybody's company up on my computer at once. We're talking all the big ones. We ain't talking like mom and pop shops, because you're not going to get the parts from those places cheap, because they don't normally like mail it out, so they don't really have a good deal with any agents that mail. So they don't really get a good cut on, the pounds per shipped. So you got to deal with medium to large size companies, Dan's Comp and Elby's and the Source and no, that's name few. And then basically, like, you got a bunch of other ones too. Like, I think it's American Bicycle, or it's something on the lines of that. I had more than those up. And the funny, obvious thing that kept on showing in standard searching through each one of the companies, and this is the easiest way to actually prove this. Go on your computer, because it's going to be harder to do it on your phone. I mean, you could do it on your phone, but just go on your computer and open up a page on all of the main BMX places. Type in one part. Do the search. Watch the search results. Watch the quantity that they have. And you'll find a disturbing fact that a lot of them tend to drop shift, which basically means that there's a warehouse hub that they're all using. Which I understand. No shame on them. Because basically at the end of the day, the more profit that they can actually make by not having to hold on to shit, because there's a, I mean, it's not like it was back in the colorful days where like every part came in like 9 different colors. Primarily everything comes in an average of 3 colors now. Which is surprisingly, it's black, white, purple. What the fuck's up with the purple? But those parts right there are the ones that basically, when you do a search, you're going to pop them up and they're going to basically like numbers match all of the other places that you're looking, if they show a number of inventory. The other thing is basically like, it's kind of harder to deal with out of stock items, but if you're on 7 different companies, somebody should have one. And we ain't talking like, the bee's knees part of the day. Obviously, they're all going to get sold out. It's just like any Odyssey part. And the way that the market is basically everybody believes that everything that came from Odyssey is the shit. I mean, Odyssey is the Shimano to mountain bike as Odyssey is to BMX when it comes to it at the end of the day. And I'm not one of those fanboys. I used to be an Odyssey fanboy. I loved Odyssey back in the day. But I had a bigger fascination with Kink and Poor Boy and Poverty and basically any company that had a fucked up name. They usually made really good parts. And usually the most obscure company, meaning like they made only like a handful of different kind of parts, they usually had the best CNC'd part that you could actually buy, and it would cost the same amount of money as, say an Odyssey part, but it looked nicer. And you can guarantee you that those companies were actually CNCing it from a block much larger than the piece that they were making. I mean, the easiest way to explain this is look at tabbed stems, meaning the stem that actually has the tabs that come out for a gyro. As wide as that tab is as big as that block was wide. And you take 1/4 of an inch off of either side of the front and back of it, and that's how big the piece was. I mean, they were huge. And it's a lot. I mean, as far as they stick out about 3/4 of an inch on either side. That's all the material that they have to cut off of this thing actually before they even start to make it into shape. I mean, it's a lot of material. So when they were selling necks like that back in the day for like, $60-$70, worth every fucking penny, because they were probably only making like $5 of profit per piece. I mean, they'd probably making more than that. I mean, especially if they're building them on a CNC machine. That's all they had to do was hit a button. But I digress. So to get to the color thing, you can't fully find a accent color for bikes anymore. And hopefully that's going to change in the next 6 months. We'll have an influx of parts. And they won't be purple. Hopefully not all purple. I don't know why Odyssey did that this year, or last year, or the year before. And it made their limited edition purple parts. I mean, they're limited edition, but they built them for a fucking year and a half. Oh, this is that limited edition. So the grand scheme of things is basically, I want to bottom bracket, neck, or the headset, stem. I could probably do an accent secondary color, you know, because I highly doubt that I'm going to get a fork and handlebars to match a frame. I've been talking to a couple companies to actually make one in America for me, but they don't make forks. And they're limited production on handlebars. So I'd have to basically contact Odyssey and have a fork shipped out, obviously with the 990, because, you know, that's the only way I ride. But they're limited on colors. You get black or chrome. It's going to have to be black, and then I'm going to have to fucking send it out to get sandblasted and then powder coated. So out the door for an American frame by obscure companies to get a fork, handlebars, and frame done up in the same color. After I ship it to them, after I ship them the bars and ship them the fork, and they make the frame, and then they basically send it all off the powder coat, that whole process is going to probably cost me $650 through their house, and I'm still out the cost of the fork and the handlebars. The color is basically up in the air right now, and the accents, I really do want to play with that that snow blue or winter blue or what the hell it's called. That is a beautiful anodize. It's kind of like a baby blue that got blasted with a feather of white. It's really nice. We can call this my trophy bike. Everybody has one over time. They have that one bike that basically they ride till they can't ride, and then they basically put it up on the wall. That's going to be the bike that I put up on the wall. I always thought it would be the bottle rocket, but I'm to that point where I don't know if I'm even going to be basically capable in the next 5 years to do downhill anymore, or even free ride. The descents they just beat the shit out of you. So investing back into bicycles on the BMX side of things is probably more my thing. I'll never be a road bike guy. So it's been thought of to do it, and I don't think I have the cardio left in me. I mean, they say you can train it back, but basically, like, once you junk your muscles, you junk your muscles. You'll never be 100%, no matter how much training you do. If you haven't done it all your life. And for a long period of time in my life, I stopped riding all entirely. So basically, when it comes down to my legs and my core, like, I'm going to be battling for the next, like, 2 years to actually get back into training situations where I can actually air out and do it safely. I'm probably going to be trying my hardest to air out to at least 5 feet over the copane when I start riding again. But the goal is always to go above 8 feet, and that's usually my goal. Like, whenever I was riding before, was over 8 feet. I always get there, and then basically something happened, and then I was out for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, maybe old man me should set the bar at like 7. I don't know. So I really want to do, oh, it's ice blue. I think it's ice blue. That's what it's called. The ice blue. Yeah. But I don't know if I want to do a purple or white. But I mean, I'm wondering if I can actually get a, it would look really, really cool if I could actually get the same anodizing finish of the ice blue or snow blue or whatever the fuck it's called, but do an iced purple. Like it's there, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like a milk screening of purple onto the frame, with a white base. Obviously, because I do love raw, but I don't want to jump on the bandwagon at the end of companies doing clear paints. Like lightning blue and all the other ones where basically like you can still see through it to the welds, because they have no base. All as it is color. I do want a base, so I will do a base, and I'm gonna do, like something on the aspects of a milky color. I want a milky color. They've already basically, the one manufacturer that I talked to, I forgot what bike company that was. It's a very, very small company. I think they only make like 200 frames a year. Hence the reason why basically the house price is going to be so astronomically expensive to actually get the bike made, frame and color and wise. But they're totally open to like custom colors like that, and they said that basically their powder coater will basically do anything I want. So if that's the case, then basically I just personally just have their powder coater, try and attempt to do a milky kind of color to it. Because personally, like all the accents that are available right now, I might be calling it the wrong thing when I say ice blue, but it might be winter blue, it might be, I don't know, snow blue, I don't know. I think it's ice blue. That one seems to be right now the one that has the largest amount of options. And it'd be the risk that I'd want to take if I started purchasing parts to actually build this bike before 6 months happens and the parts influx starts happening again. Because we're going to have another influx. So if I was anybody out there right now, I wouldn't start building a bike. Like, I'm not going to start building this until months out. Like 3-4 months out, I'm going to find out basically if I can go this accent. And if that's the case, then basically we're talking rims, we're talking like basically everything except for hubs. I might send the hubs out and get anodized. I don't know. But I know for a fact that I can't get ice blue hubs unless I order them through Chris King or Onyx, and I don't really want to pay that kind of fucking cash. Like, that's Chris King and Onyx, they're expensive in itself, but then when you add in their custom colors, it gets pricey fast. And you have to wait a little bit longer for them to actually, resolve the order too. But that is an option. But what I think is basically, like, the way that I want to do it is basically straight up, the whole goddamn fucking bike is going to be one color. The accents is everything but the frame. And there might be a third color involved, but it's going to be really hard because of the fact that I'm going to make it such an obscure like color combination that I don't think I'll be able to throw a third color in there, which is going to make it really hard for cranks, and I'm going to be basically stuck to titanium, which is all right because I'm about to build that damn full suspension BMX bike, so when it comes down to it, it'd be cheaper for me to actually buy 2 titanium cranks. That's straight up. If you're dealing with a manufacturer instead of dealing with a freaking a distributor, the only way to deal with a manufacturer is to contact them and be like, I want more than one. And once you say the key word of more than one, they're going to be like, this is how many you need to buy. And usually manufacturers are anything but one. So if you call up and want 2, then the manufacturer's going to be like, yeah, we can do that. And they'll probably charge you a little bit less than basically the street market on it for at the distribution side of it. You're not going to get it for what the distributor pays for it because they're buying in a lot larger quantities, but you're going to save a little bit of money. And when it comes down to titanium cranks, yeah, they're not fucking cheap. And I'm not talking like a profile with a pro bottom bracket with a titanium fucking shaft and chrome ollie arms. We're talking full titanium crank. So maybe I can just basically titanium the bike as the 3rd color. That'd be nice. And I think I can pull it off. Because titanium crank and titanium raw spokes, we ain't talking rainbow spokes, we're talking titanium raw spokes. Just like the cranks will be titanium raw. I think it's pullable. I don't think it's going to throw off the ice blue too bad, and I don't think it's going to basically discourage the color of the frame. Saying all this, most people look at the past videos of last week where I'm bashing colored bikes. But this isn't a normal colored bike. This is an obscure colored bike. Which I don't think it makes it better, but, you know, like, at least I'm not going to be like, yeah, I want to be the black frame with the blue accents guy. Or black frame with the purple accents guy. You know, like, or the random colored frame with black accents guy. Because those are easy builds. Like, you can throw black on anything and basically, like, it makes the frame color pop. And the fact of the matter, you don't have to paint your forks. Because basically, like, it goes along with the black accents. As long as you're not running chrome grips. I mean, chrome fucking handlebars. So, that being said, I think I'm in the clear, hopefully. And not being called a hypocrite. I kind of feel like a hypocrite for, you know, like, secretly actually wanting to do this little rundown project. Because, honestly, bike prices and everything, BMX, like, you put $2,000 aside to actually build a bike, you get a lot of bike for $2,000. And, you know, and in mountain biking, like, if you build up a bike, you can easily spend $10,000. Easily spend $10,000 and still have room for options later on. I'm talking like build a BMX, $2,000, no options later on. Like, it is what it is, and it's a pro build, and nobody's gonna bake anything that's better for it until like 5-10 years down the line. Talking like building a computer that can handle a decade of service without having to fucking be upgraded. You know what I'm talking about? It'll be a good lesson for me to actually focus on custom built 36. I'm gonna try and do quad lacing, but I think I'm only capable of doing triple lace or triple cross with my skill level. Quad was used a lot back in the 48 days. I think theoretically, math-wise, you can actually do a 4 cross with a 36 spoke as well. You just need a little bit longer spoke. And it makes the wheel a little bit more bouncy, but yet at the same time bouncy to a point and then fucking rigid as fuck. However, the only problem with 4 crossing anything, because of the length of the spoke, you have a higher possibility of spoke snapping. So, but I don't think it's going to be a problem because, like I said, I want to do the spokes out of titanium. Titanium. Yeah. So, that being said, that's the plan for right after this bike is built and everything. So, boom.